Hey guys, and welcome back to, let's call this Just Talk episode 2. Good, so today we're gonna be talking about my whole ladder accident. And Leah's at work, so I'm back in her apartment to film this episode. Although it has disintegrated a little quicker than I thought it would, so please excuse all the mess. That's just Leah in a nutshell. And I will be honest, it does look a tiny bit empty without all my fancy stuff at the desk and my bed. It makes the place look a lot bigger, but also a little empty. She'll figure it out. Just ignore all the mess. Good, so where to start? Well, let's just take the day from the very beginning. So, I had to meet him at 6 AM. And this was like the other co-worker, I have never seen him before. I had to meet him at 6 AM in Odense, which is like a 45-minute drive from here. So I had to go out and pack my car around 5 AM. 5 AM. I got up at 4:30 PM. 4:30 AM. I got up so crazy early. I got up, I packed my car, I made my lunch. I actually think I made my lunch the day before, but that doesn't really matter. And then we headed off for Odense in like the middle of the night. I had to meet at 6 AM. So it was crazy early and we got in and I had to sign in and I got my little name tag who said my name and I was a visitor of this and this because this is like our second biggest TV channel in the country. It was a huge place and we only had to do parts of it, which was like a full day's work because the place was just straight up massive. So we went in there and it took him like 25 minutes just to explain to me everything that I had to do. I mean, it's just such a ridiculous big place. So I had to start at like a sports section. Oh man, so embarrassing. I had to start there. And they had these windows. This is all indoors, by the way. They had these huge windows. They're like twice my height. I don't know, 6.5 meters high. And so I had this hole. You know, normally we have like this little handle and it has a long piece of rubber on it and we use them to clean the windows after we soak them in. Yeah, you can get a big pole where you have one of those on top. So basically you can reach crazy high. Only thing is, the only ones I've ever used are stiff. So you soak it in, you do one like slide down, you wipe it off, you do another one so you don't make stripes, and you do that all the way around. But this new one I haven't used before and it was so wobbly. So very wobbly, it was like impossible to control. And I've never used this before. So I get in and there's these like 4 guys, I think there's a single girl sitting there. And then there's a guy in the studio they have. And so they're like, yeah, well, he's gonna be broadcasting in like 5 minutes, but you know, and I'm like, well, can I do this? Can I just start here? And they're like, yeah, just try it, just see what happens. I'm like, I mean, okay. And so I start, and then after like 2 minutes, he's like knocking on the glass, and he's like, because apparently it's not just like a radio thing, it's actually broadcast on TV, and they were gonna show him while he did the news section. It was only like 3 minutes. And so then they were like, no, you can't do this now. And I'm like, oh, come on guys, you just said I could. You just said I could a minute ago. And so I had to quickly wipe it off the best I could. And then I started another section. And then when he was done, I had like 30 minutes to do the whole thing. But the thing is, I was so dumb. I changed the rubber on that big wobbly thing because I had no idea if the old one was good or not. And they act a little weird when they're all brand new. You need to wear them in a little bit before they work really well. So I'm just standing on the inside now, because I had to do it on both sides, facing all of them, and I'm soaping it in, and the thing just won't work. And I can't, for the life of me, I can't unfold it. So I have to hold the very bottom of it. And I'm standing there, and it just doesn't work. Nope, didn't work, had to soap in again. Nope, that didn't work, I had to soap in again. Oh my god, it was so embarrassing. And they were all right outside just looking at me. It was awful. It was so awful. It took me like a good solid 15 minutes before I had it down. I had to do it so slow. And this pole is like 2 meters long, and I'm holding the very bottom of it. You have very little control. It was awful. It was so embarrassing. But I finally got it down. I got out of there, and oh man, I was so red, and I was sweating so much because my boss Fleming, he told me that I should fill up my tank with water in the car. So I thought I might have to work outside at some point. So I had my skiing underwear on. And this is right when spring started, and we actually had pretty decent weather. So I was sweating so much and just taking off all the clothes that I could. It was not a good day to start the morning. It really wasn't. Okay, so all of that happened. And then I moved on to the news, like a more actual news broadcast station, like we have on the broadcast, only for news. And I go in there and I start and everything like that. It was so weird. People kept saying good morning to me, and it was like, I don't know, 9 AM at the time, which is like morning, but I've been there 3 hours already, so it felt like it had to be noon or something like that. It was weird. So I go in there, same whole thing with the whole thing. Then I have to go to like another section, and there's a bunch of desks and things like that, and they're like kind of tall, and they had like a really wide piece of wood like dividing all the glasses, so I couldn't reach with my pole, right? And I had my steel ladder, which normally consists of 3 parts that you can like fold out, but I had taken just the top one off and put it in another hallway that I had to do, which was taller. So I put it over there. But I was like, oh man, it's gonna take me like another 10-15 minutes to go out in the car and get the wood one, which was smaller, because when I bought the steel one, it was like a little too long. So instead of standing like this, I stood a little bit more like this. Maybe not quite that much, but you get the idea. The ladder was too tall. And so I didn't stand very good, if that makes sense. Yeah, obviously, since the accident happened. And this might be a little uncomfortable, and it might be a little graphic, just so you're warned. So I had the ladder there, and I'm just going to try and explain how it works. Normally, when you have a ladder and it stands like that, you like stand on it and you can clean the windows. This means that the pusher goes down, which isn't really a big problem. The thing was, because the ladder was too tall, I had to lean on it in order to reach further in. Do you see what I mean? And because I lean on it, the pusher goes straight down the legs. And because the pusher went down straight like the legs, and because the floors had been polished like an hour before I got there, it was crazy slippery. And so the ladder just shut down. And so I'm hanging on the ladder. Or maybe I'm cleaning the windows. I don't actually remember. Like, it just happened. And it's just like, bam, I'm on the ground. And I was like holding on to it, and I like folded my arms. Like basically it fell, and I body slammed the steel ladder. And my arms like folded underneath me between the steel ladder and my body. And so I was just laying there in shock, like a little bit for a minute, just like, that really hurt. But I'm like checking, yeah, I can move my wrists, yeah, I can move my fingers, yeah, I can fold out my elbows. And so I I felt pretty confident that nothing was broken. And I'm like, well, yeah, I called after a little while, a dude came. And he asked me if I was okay. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Like my ladder fell, but I'll be okay. And I hit a keyboard on the way down, and I asked him about it. He said it was fine. I broke it off a little bit. So I was like, oh, this actually hurt pretty bad. So I called my boss and said, hey, this thing happened, and I'm gonna see how it goes and if I can work through it. And I called my dad just to let him know too and things like that, because it hurt pretty bad. But I'm like, well, I mean, nothing feels like it's broken, so I mean, maybe it'll just wear off. So I actually leave and I go out and I grab my wood ladder off my car and I go back and I continue working for like a few windows, and like, oh man, this really hurts. This really hurts. And I got less and less flexibility in my arms, I guess because they started to get more and more swollen and filled with liquid. So it became harder and harder to work. I'm like, oh man, this is actually kind of bad. But I had my skiing underwear on, so I couldn't see if my elbow was really swollen or not. And at this point, I'm starting to not be able to pick up my phone. So I would reach for the button to press it, but I couldn't get there. At this point, I couldn't really pick up my phone. So I go to the bathroom, which was a million miles away. I go there. Don't ask me how. Somehow I get my t-shirt off. Somehow I get my skiing underwear off, like the blouse one. And then I can see, man, that doesn't look quite like very nice. And so then I get my t-shirt back on somehow. Don't ask me how. I got that on again. And then I'm like, okay, this is pretty bad. I don't think I can continue working. And at this point I got very little flexibility left. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I called my boss and said, I'm gonna have to go home. And then I called my mom and she's like, well, can you borrow my grandma's car and come get me and pick up Lee on the way so we can take the car home? Like at this point, I'm still thinking, oh well, I'm just gonna go home and rest. I'll be back at work tomorrow. I've never been injured before, and I've never had an accident. That was just my train of thought. And then the other guy, he came in with me, and like slowly over time, I could move less and less. But I could lift a little bit, so he helped me get everything back on the car, because obviously I couldn't continue. And then, oh, I don't remember how much later, but at this point it's been like a few hours already. But then, this is around the time we figured out, maybe I should go to the emergency room, which hadn't really crossed my mind before, but yeah, it starts to be a pretty good idea, because I don't know. I mean, I could have like a little flinch of my elbow, something like that can mess you up so badly. And so my mom's calling me. She's like, oh well, I can't really borrow the car. The grandma isn't home, so they're like, we can call my grandparents on my dad's side and they can come and pick you up. And I'm like, yeah, sure, do that, and then they can take you to the emergency room and things like that. But like, actually right before we got to that part, the guy, my coworker, he came in and he was like, okay, well let's go and take a cup of coffee. At this point I couldn't move at all. It was like, I could just feel my arms, they were like starting to, felt like they were gonna burst. And so this is the time where they started cramping up. And they would cramp up my entire forearm. And it would hurt so badly. But there's just nothing I could do. I couldn't move the arm, I couldn't stretch it, I couldn't do anything. So the one arm started cramping. Then I moved the other arm. Then that arm started cramping. And it was so painful. It hurt so badly. So at this point, they started cramping. And it would last, I don't know, 5-10 seconds, and then it would stop. So at this point we're like, oh yeah, I really need to get picked up right now, and that's actually when I called my grandparents on my mom's side. But it took them so long to get there, because this is still like 9:30 in the morning. They were having breakfast. They weren't even fully dressed yet. I mean, they were tired, so they had to get ready and then leave, and it took them so long to get there. And in the meanwhile, my arms just started cramping more and more and more. Now it's every like 5 minutes they started cramping. If I tried sitting down, they would cramp. I mean, it got so bad that like before they came, I was finally like, okay, let's just call a taxi, because the receptionist, they said they would do that. They actually tied a strap on either arm for me, which was really nice of them. They were super nice. But they were like, let's just call a taxi so we can get you there. And I'm like, fine, yeah, call me the taxi, because they started cramping so much. But then my grandma got so mad. She was like, either we're getting you or you're getting a taxi. But like, I'm like, I need all my stuff. Can you come get all my stuff and then meet me at the emergency room? They're like, no. And I got so mad. But I'm like, fine, just come and get me and I'll call off the taxi. And the taxi was like 2 minutes away. It took them another 30 minutes to get there. And oh man, and it was a very stressful situation. I kept keeping positive and things like that. It actually went really well, because I could see the funny side of it. I mean, I couldn't move either arm, but it was so bad. And like my coworker just stood there and looked at me for like an hour basically, but we couldn't do anything. I couldn't do anything at all. And I was like, just go back to work. I mean, I'm obviously not going anywhere. You can't help me. I'm in too much pain to really talk. So he finally went back to work. And by the time my grandparents came, I could take about 5 steps before I cramped up again. I cramped up so many times on my way to get to them and walking around before they came and things like that. I cramped up so many times. I don't even know how many times over the like total 3 hours. Walked 5 steps, cramped up. Tried sitting down in the car, cramped up 3 times. Getting out, cramp. Just standing there, they would cramp up with like, I don't know, certain intervals. They cramped up so much. And like, I don't think I've ever screamed out in pain. That made me, like, I really tried not to, but I couldn't help it. It hurt that badly. So they finally came, we got all our stuff in the car, we went to the emergency room, and they had some weird system. Apparently I should call beforehand. So when I got there, the receptionist had to call on my behalf for me to get in the system. I've never been to the emergency room, so I had no idea. So I got there, we got in, they gave me some painkillers pretty quickly, and that helped a little with me to relax my muscles, because they were so tense. And so they finally came in, and I got to see a doctor, and they were like, yeah, well, we're gonna have to take an X-ray, because they couldn't really see much. Like, she touched it a bunch of places on the outside. That didn't hurt, surprisingly enough, which was like a good sign, because I think that meant it wasn't broken. And so I got a line for an X-ray, and when I got in, I was like, hey, how are you doing? I would give you the hand, but I can't really move. And I'm like, please go easy on me. This is like the worst day of my life. And he was like, yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm just one big son of a B word. And he was like, yeah, I'm crazy mean. And I'm like, oh no. But like, the way you have to take an X-ray, you have to lay your arm, like first you lay like this and they take a picture. But then you have to like really like stretch it as much as you possibly can. And it is so crazy painful just to stretch it that much, especially after all the cramps I've been having all day. But he had to do it. They couldn't see anything otherwise, and I had to do it on both arms. It was horrible. And so I got in and I talked to the doctor, and it turned out I had a fling. No, crack, I guess you would call it, in my left elbow. Which, I mean, I got off sort of easy, and then they gave me like the thing. I had to hold my arm in for like 2 weeks. So yeah, that happened. And so after that they were like, yeah, just have that on for 2 weeks and then you can take it off, and we don't even really need you for like a checkup, you can just take it off, you should be fine. That was pretty much all they did, but like the painkillers helped, and then it was just time to head home. And Leah came. She was in for a job interview, which she got as like it's like a phone, like a salesman, but it's for some charities or something like that, like a fundraiser, I think they call it. So she need to call people and see if they want to donate for something. So she came too, and it was a really long day. So I came home, and obviously I couldn't do anything. Yeah, and like even now, I can show you. It's still a little bruised.
I've been really trying, baby, trying to hold back this feeling for so long. And if you feel like I feel, baby.
So yeah, it's still, I don't know how well you can see. Let me just see. It's still pretty bruised here, and it's pretty badly bruised on the inside. You can't really see much on the other arm. This one was supposedly hurt the worst, but it looks fine. Like this one that got like crazy beat up. And so yeah, it still looks pretty bad. It's actually not that nice either. Like anything I have to pull and push still hurts pretty much. So I actually have an appointment at the doctor's in like an hour, where I need to go for like a checkup. But yeah, it was kind of funny when I got home, because I couldn't move anything, nothing at all. And so they had to like feed me everything I had to eat, because like just the slightest movement they both cramped up still. They were still so very tense. So everything had to be mouth fed. Every time I needed something to drink, they would have to hold something up with a straw. I could not do a single thing. And so that entire day, I just held everything inside, because as funny as it was having to be fed everything like a totally taken care of 24/7, I didn't really want help going to the bathroom. That didn't sound very exciting to me. As much as I like bathroom jokes, I would like to be able to go in by myself. So I held everything in for the entire first day. And then luckily, the day after, I had like a little movement in my right arm, so I could take care of business myself. Yeah, but that was a very painful day, and like even just getting to bed, everything cramped up so badly, and I had to have pillows underneath both of them, and I took some painkillers before I went to bed, and they lasted around 2 hours. Then I was right awake in pain. I just had to go and sit on the couch, because sitting helped. Sitting was not as taxing on my arms as sleeping was. So I just sat on the bed, and I don't know, I watched something. I don't even know what I did. But like the whole thing, thinking back on it, I actually got off. I think I got off easy, because the more I think about it, the more things could have gone wrong. Because the thing was, when I fell, I hit this little radiator, the one that makes heat, with the top of my ladder. And if I didn't do that, my fingers would be crushed between me, the ladder, and the floor, my fingers being all the way down. I could have broken all my fingers just by the impact. And the other conclusion was, if I was higher up on the ladder, when it fell down, instead of my ladder hitting the radiator, it could have been my face. I mean, so many things could have gone so much worse. So I think me being immobilized with my 2 arms for a few weeks isn't the worst that could have happened. Obviously not the best either. I mean, it has been pretty frustrating. I have had so much work I wanted to get done up on my room. I just need to get back to work so badly because I'm starting to build up quite a debt and I need to pay it off before I need to pay it back to my company account before I need to do taxes. And like just in general, like I can't even properly stretch because I can't fold out my arms, I can't lift, I can't push, I can't pull. I need help opening my window because it's crazy tight. So, I mean, not something I would recommend. I am okay though. I mean, I can use my arms to some extent, and they don't hurt like crazy all the time. So I guess I'm doing pretty good. Things could have been way worse. I try to look at it on the bright side, and hopefully I will be back in action pretty soon. I hope so. Like the last couple of days I've been going out and service, even though it's been pretty painful sitting crammed in a car or like holding my Bible out talking to people, but like I just got so sick of just sitting in my room staring at things, so I just had to go out, and so it was nice. I could go out and service a little bit. And then in the weekend I'm going over to Janice and Maya. I'm very curious about how I'm gonna do with the carry-on, but I still have a few days. That's Friday. Then I'm going to Copenhagen to see them. So that is really exciting. I'm looking forward to that very much. Yeah, good. I think I got all the way around. This has been a really long video. I'm gonna tell you anyway, because I wanted to tell you about my co-worker, Michelle, who I worked with after it might have been while I was an apprentice carpenter, but we were working on this roof, and we had some scaffolding like half a meter down, no more than that. We would jump up and down hundreds of times a day. And so Michelle, this one time, she jumped down and she like grazed the edge of a sledgehammer, of like a pretty big hammer. And I have no idea how, but you know the little round bone sticking out of your foot? It hit a fling of that bone. I don't know how, because the hammer's not big enough to touch that part. But somehow it did. And she just became pale. Pale as like she was dead. And she was completely mobilized. She could not move. She was in so much pain, she just had to lay on the scaffolding. And she was, like, for the life of her, she didn't want us to call an ambulance. But there was no way we could get her down the stairs on our own and drive her to the hospital. So we had to call an ambulance. And they gave her this shot. I don't know what they call it. It was like 10 times more powerful than morphine to subdue her. And then they cut like the leg, her pants up. And they had this big plastic bag they pulled around her entire leg, and then they pumped it full of air so her leg was like completely locked in place. And then they went, like, she got some life back once she got like those crazy painkillers, or like, I don't know what you call it, like the local where they subdue it. Anyway, and then they took it down the stairs and out to like, well, in the ambulance and to the hospital. It's just like this tiny little thing of a bone just messed her up so badly. And I was a little worried the same thing had happened with my elbow. Like, just the tiniest things. It's incredible how much pain they can cause. Yeah, so that was a thing that happened too. But I'm all done with painful stories and things like that. This video turned out to be quite a lot longer than I expected it to be. Man, I've been sitting here talking for like 30 minutes now. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna talk to you later, cat. Leave a comment and let me know what you thought about my very embarrassing and painful experience or accident, whatever you want to call it. Like the video if you liked it. Take care, cat. I'll see you soon. Bye. Hey, cat. So I just came home after seeing my doctor, and well, everything is a little bit less than ideal, to say the least. He didn't quite say what I hoped for. So apparently the break itself takes 3 weeks to heal. And so he referred me to like a physical therapist so I can get some exercises in like a week. But he said that it's gonna take at least another couple of weeks before I'll be able to start working again. And so I know this video is already crazy long, so I'm not gonna drag it out any further, but not really what I was hoping for. Because it's been so frustrating not being able to do anything. And not being able to do anything for another 2 weeks. He said, just use your arm to like the full extent until it hurts. Which, I mean, it's fine, like I know I have to use it. And yeah, it just sucks. It just sucks. I really can't afford to sit still for another 2 weeks. But I don't really have a choice. And I don't even get... Normally I would be... like I could get some sick money because I won't be able to work. But I haven't been working for long enough for me to qualify for it. So I'm not getting anything. I'm just sitting here. Man, this sucks. Anyway, I hope your day is going a lot better than mine. I'm gonna get to editing this whole thing, this whole big mess of a video, and I'll talk to you later, cat, because this camera is actually starting to hurt quite a lot holding up. So take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.